So it occurred to me the other day that I hadn't done a Floodgate commentary pretty much since like the first week of the season, and my group was able to time a 17 just last week. So I guess in this video we're gonna break down our 17 timed run and walk through it. Not to mention any specific Discord servers, but I also someone kind of pseudo asking for a commentary like this. So here we are. We're gonna walk through everything we did right, wrong, our routing, and just everything in between, and really nerd out about this run in particular. Now, we are running the physical comp. We are running the, I believe it was Fury Warrior, Feral Druid, Outlaw Rogue, and Resto Shaman. And let's see what this is. So getting into it, for any of those who tuned in this weekend for the MDI, you probably saw a similar route coming out from the Guardian Druid, or I guess the physical god comp team, which included Squish Vegan, Ortimus, Banchers, Walks, and Nox. We are going to be shrouding to the first boss. Now, the way that we handle the first boss is just a little bit different and actually not as clean in terms of execution, but we're going to be going right to Big Mama with a shroud skip. Now, this only really works if you're playing with a rogue. I think you could invis, but I think fall damage will actually break your invisibility, so you can really only do it with a rogue. Anyways, we're going to drag the boss to this corner to start. And we're going to be essentially just like committing everything. So we're setting all our CDs, actually most of our CDs, and we're setting Lust as well. Now, the idea with this fight is pretty simple. Kill ads before kill a block barrier. Kill a block barrier will start to require some of your healers' cooldowns, which they should ideally need for the kind of intermission during the jumpstart cast. Now, the reason we're starting in this corner is because the ads get kind of stuck on this building and on kind of the side edges of this, I don't know, little like cliff edge, I don't know, the edge of the arena. And so they don't go very far. So it's easier to like finish them off. And then of course during the burn, this is where our Feral Druid is going to be committing his CDs to get really big boss damage in a first burn, ideally going to about 70%. The idea for this fight, I think at most levels of keys, of course lower keys as you get more gear, you'll probably only need to phase Big Mama once or twice. In this key, we're trying to kill before the fourth burn or the fourth kill block barrier. So we want a sub 3.5-4 minute kill on this boss. Now, unlike, you know, the Guardian Druid or the God comp, the physical God comp in the MDI, we are not staying in that corner, even though it's a very good strategy. We end up actually kind of making this triangle pattern, having the blue world marker down as kind of a a set marker for people to bring the sonic boom to. This is never on the tank to do. It's mostly going to be on the DPS, but as you can see, sometimes we don't aim it at the blue marker, but the general rule of thumb is aim it at the blue marker so it makes a more consistent pattern, and the rest of our DPS are going to try to bait the ads kind of towards the edge here. The kilo block barrier just happened, but we were able to push. Luckily, when you're playing with a Fury Warrior and an Outlaw Rogue, you just kind of always have sustained damage, so it's very easy to kind of cleave all down all the ads as long as everything's alive. Now, coming back, I didn't really talk about it much, but in regards to my cooldowns, I don't really think about this too much, but you want to try to mitigate everything every time Electro Crush is cast. It's going to do a massive chunk of damage, as you can see here. This time I'm committing Fortifying Brew, but earlier in the fight I was using things like Celestial Brew, Dampen Harm. You can use Diffuse Magic as well, since it's mostly nature, but just a well-timed Celestial Brew can also mitigate most of the damage up front. Now, the reason why we're also playing against this edge here and why we make this triangle pattern is because we can use this wall to kind of stop the ads from dashing really, really far out. Here, I'm just trying to reposition the ads in such a way that my melee can still keep baiting. But as you can see here, the Sonic Boom goes to the blue marker. Everyone else is up and near the wall. Now, ads unfortunately don't stay super stacked. One thing a Brewmaster can do on this fight, though, specifically, is you can utilize Touch of Death on one of these ads, like I'm going to land here, not only to kill one of the ads off faster, but you're also going to benefit from that Fatal Touch buff. So I'm doing 5% more damage for the next 30 seconds. This is going to allow us to push the boss into the dirt here. Right as the jumpstart ends, we are sub 150 mil, which is really good. At this level of key, ideally you're sub 300 mil, maybe in the realm of 350 with like good cooldowns coming back up. We did commit our second Berserk and Convoke in that window, so we were able to get a pretty big burn. The boss is going to go down here, and we're going to head right into this Blood Warper pool. Now, I see a lot of groups skipping this Blood Warper, and you can do so by like sneakily grabbing the box from the other side. But for us, our warrior actually is going to charge in and get the first Spell Reflect on that boss. And you can see he peaked at 5 mil right off the bat. Warriors can taunt Spell Reflect if they're a DPS. Of course, do this and only if you're in a coordinated group. Or if you're a Prot Warrior, you can also Spell Reflect the Blood Blast, as long as your group knows not to kick on your Spell Reflect. This pull can put a lot of pressure on the tank. Not only is the Blood Warper doing a good bit of group damage and putting a healing absorb on everyone, it's also this dot that's on us that's going to kind of make our health feel a little bit more dicey at times. So I commit Diffuse Magic to save my healer a Dispel, and I use things like Celestial Brew, Black Axe Brew back into another Celestial Brew to keep myself nice and stable. Leg Sweep is also pretty efficient for locking down the soldiers for a short period of time, and we can also use Ring of Peace to kind of push them away, to knock them. Anyways, after that, we are going to give our healer a little bit of a break. He just expended most of his cooldowns on a very intense heal check on the boss, as well as a Blood Warper. So the next couple pulls that you're going to be seeing from us are going to be maybe large, but they're not dangerous. You know, there's a couple of frontals from the Inspectors. There's the Demolitionist, which we're going to keep locked down, preventing him from reloading his RPG. And then we have some soldiers and stuff in these packs. Nothing too dangerous. We are coordinating kicks on some of the snipers, and then we are using we have like a set rotation for how we CC. Generally, our rogue is going to lock down the Demolitionist with a late para later on. I think it's Kidney, and then we normally do like like another Kidney or like a Paralysis, and then we go into a Blind, and then any other forms of like CC like Shockwave or Leg Sweep might be committed, but normally we are able to handle the first Demolitionist pretty quickly. It is also going to be the priority target for our Fury, actually for everyone, but for our Fury Warrior mostly, because he really wants to pick one target and focus it down. The next pull, again, is going to be pretty tame as well. It's actually going to be a little bit smaller. We have 2 Hyenas, 2 Soldiers, and 2 Snipers. Same thing here. Kick what we can. Ideally, the Snipers are more deadly. The Bloodthirsty Cackle, if it goes off, it does enrage the mobs, but when there's only 2 of them, it's nothing too dangerous. We can always soothe them too if we feel like it, which I think we just did there. But nothing too crazy. The reason we're doing these 2 pulls is because we're buying time for our healer to get his CDs back, and we're buying time for our offensive CDs to come back. Things like Berserk, things like Avatar and Recklessness. Rogues don't really have CDs, at least I wouldn't consider them to have like true cooldowns. They kind of almost always are in cooldowns if being played well, so it doesn't really matter too much. And it's obviously dependent on their roles. So now that we have Link, Tide, Rally, in terms of defensives, we have all of our CC, and we have our offensives pretty much available outside of Berserk. We are going to be heading into the next pull. I'm grabbing the soldiers. Our warrior is going to be taunting the Blood Warper to get the first Bloodbath on him, and then I'm going to be going in for that next kick to make sure I have threat. Now, threat gets a little weird here. Kind of lagged out there, as you can see. The frames got kind of goofy. The leg sweep was off because I panicked because my game was freezing. Not super fun. And now I'm trying to grab these contractors, but it was obviously a little bit of a shit show. Nothing too crazy. Unfortunately, a reload did get off, but for a full melee comp, it's not too hard to just kind of strafe to the left. And we are all, fairly mobile. Now that we have everything back under control, Tide was committed, and then we're going to be committing things like defensives. Now it's going to be Link on the second Blood Warp, and we are trying to finish before the third Blood Warp. Luckily, I think the Feral Druid just popped CDs to finish off the Demolitionist plus the Blood Warper, so it should die before the next Warp Blood cast. Now that man's out of the way, we're good. Our general rule of thumb for us is beat the third Blood Warp. That's pretty much it. So big offensive CDs, big damage going to that mob. Our rogue likes to lock down the Demolitionist, and then we have someone just watching the sniper kick for the trick shot cast, which you really only need one melee kick for. But now that we're done with that pull, we are going to the left-hand side now with our gliders, and we're going to be pulling these loader bots into this architect with a fairly large pull. So the way that we're kind of doing this is we're almost doing it backwards. A lot of groups do a very big first pull with Lust, whether they go to the Demolitionist duo first or to Big Mama. It kind of depends on the route, but we kind of like go to Big Mama first, get Lust on cooldown, and then we back pull, and then Lust comes up kind of where the first pull is in the dungeon. But we just like to get the bosses down first, and also our comp is relatively target capped, so we can't really make use of a really big pull, and we find Lust to be more valuable on bosses when we can place it there. Especially at the start when we have like potions and everything. Anyways, we ended up pulling in 2 divers. We have 3 loader bots. We have an architect. We have a surveyor and 2 contractors in this pull. So it is fairly large. We are prioing the architect, and whenever he fortnights on us, we are breaking down his scaffolding as fast as possible. The tricky part about playing a full melee comp like this is the wind-up casts. They can deal a lot of damage if you don't have coordinated stuns. Luckily for us, we do have Link Sweep and Shockwave that we can commit, plus Cap Totem. We normally do Cap Totem first, Link Sweep second, Shockwave third, but the loader bots were killed off before they did their third wind-up. Something else to be noted about the Architects, they will always Fortnite on you, aka build their scaffolding, on the tank or very close to the tank. So if you ever want to move the Architect a very long distance, you can just start running, and the Architect will eventually scaffolding up where the tank is. I don't know if you're going to see that in play here. These pulls, you do need to be a little careful, and these hyenas, especially when they get enraged, can do some nasty damage. Once the Architect goes down and we're no longer getting spam rooted, we're going to be able to chain into another pull here. So as they're stunned with the Cap Totem, I'm going to run up, grab 2 more soldiers, 2 more hyenas, and kind of meet them halfway, right at the base of the stairs here, making sure I'm getting threat so no one else dies. Trying to kick hackles where we can, but the big kick here is going to be on the Surveyor, the orange marked target. We don't want Surveying Beam going off. Normally, our healer watches that kick, but when things are a little dicey and he's either healing me or healing the group, we'll step in because there's not too many kicks in this pull. Lust just came up. We just reached the 10-minute point in the dungeon. So we are going to, I believe, if I remember correctly, we're going to commit Lust to the next pull. Our idea for this dungeon is a Lust on cooldown, or as close to on cooldown as possible, because this is a 4 Lust dungeon if you can kind of fit it in within a 3-minute window of each other. And so the logic behind that is for every 10 minutes you have in a dungeon, you get 1 Lust. When you have 3 minutes over that 10-minute mark, you have that's the window you have to get that additional Lust off. So for us, this is a 33-minute dungeon. I mean, for every player, it's a 33-minute dungeon. But basically, those 3-minute windows, we have a 3-minute break in between Lust that we can kind of, dial it either like forward or backwards. So here we're going to commit the Lust. We are focusing the giant Shreddinator 3000, and the rest of the stuff is kind of fodder. We have assigned kicks for purple and orange. It's 1 melee kick. It's mostly just going to be me and another DPS. But we have backups just in case, like, for example, I'm trying to move here. We can get a kick from our range or from another melee who can maybe have a better angle on the mob. As for defensives, I'm trying to hold a little bit because the next pull is going to be also pretty big and I'm going to want defensives for it. But we didn't really commit anything here, actually. I think it ended up just being Trinket along with some Celestial Brew usages. Now we're going to head back down and we're going to head across the river. Our rogue dashes ahead to get the box that we missed. We missed it on purpose because we're chain pulling constantly. We don't have time to pull. Now, unfortunately, our warrior body pulled these crabs. These are not normally in the route, but it ended up working out for us because, one, we needed the percent anyways, and our healer is running Eye of Kazan, so this allows him to stay in combat. So these crabs are going to take some time to get in, but we're going to spend some time, breaking the scaffolding, getting the Architect down, and then we're going to be able to chain it into the next pull. Now, this next pull can be very scary for a Brewmaster. These crabs, their pinch casts, can do a ton of damage. So you want to be very careful. Contractor melees can be pretty heavy as well. And then the Surveying Beams, if it's underneath your feet, can also do some damage. So there's a lot of things to be careful of in this pull as a Brewmaster Monk. So we're going to commit Dampen Harm to start, unless it was a proc, might have been a proc. And then we're going to be chaining. When we chain into this pull, it's going to be Dampen Harm. Celestial Brews are built up at this point, and we're feeling pretty healthy. And then as things start to die, I believe we pull in more crabs. It's been about a week since we've ran this, so I'm trying to remember exactly what we do here. So I do end up jumping and pulling a crab, and these 2 crabs are going to act as just additional targets as the pull kind of starts to die off. And while we are target capped, it's going to still allow us to still hit 4 targets at a time, which is going to be good for our Fury Warrior. Plus, we need the count anyways, so that's what we're doing it for. Scaffolding gets built. This is something where you can try to chain it into the next pull. We've tried that in some keys. Architects, when you have a full melee comp and 2 Shreddinator 3000s, it can get a little dicey if no one has a way to get out of roots quickly. So we've decided to always finish off the Architect, but these crabs, we're going to be more than happy to bring into the next pull. So Architect's about to die here, and then these crabs we can roll with. Though I guess I decided to finish them off first. So right as they're about to die, I do chain. You got to be a little careful on healer threat here. But Surveyor's the kick target. The priority mob is generally going to be the Shreddinators, though, because the Surveyor, outside of his easy dynamite stick that he throws, there's nothing else going on this pull for most people. Everything else is avoidable. So if you die on a pull like this, it's probably your fault. A dynamite won't one-shot you. And if you die to a blade, it's because you didn't move fast enough. If you stood to a flamethrower, it's because you didn't move fast enough. Simple as that. Now we've changed our route a little bit. We used to pull in this pack to my right at some points during the pull, typically when the first surveyor dies. We no longer do that. We actually go into boss with these mobs eventually. We don't necessarily pull onto boss, but we do start walking them up the stairs, playing nice and close to melee, and so right when combat drops, we're ready to go in. If you're playing with a marksman hunter or something that benefits from having more targets, this is not a bad thing. You can definitely play this fight with a little bit of, with the right spell queuing on these mobs and pulling them on a boss, it's not the worst thing to do. We've done it in lower keys, we just don't feel the need to do it in higher keys yet. So that's kind of why this guy is going to go down. I can't remember if we chain when he's low like this, or if we just wait. I think we end up... Oh, you know what? My mental was like, you know what? I'm going to wait for our Feral Druid to get a re-stealth. And then what I ended up doing is I like rolled in really quick, or I taunted, and our Feral couldn't get a re-stealth anyway, so I don't know why I waited. This fight's pretty chill. At least I think. I think other people find it not so chill. I find it chill as a tank because there's not much you have to do. Nothing really is dangerous to the tank. It's more dangerous to your DPS. Your healer has to be dispelling quickly. Your DPS have to make quick in-the-moment decisions about getting to a certain bomb. So originally what I did there is I tried to move Bront into the corner to get the bomb that was in melee, but we also had a dispel in melee that cleared the bomb anyway, so it didn't even matter. Our warrior's going to leap far. This now is the third charge that's going on me. I'm also going to make sure I split the difference to get both of the bombs, and the last dispel is going to the markers here. So it's on our rogue, so he's going to make a quick little dash out, and then we're chilling. So the name of the game for the tank, especially when you're playing with a melee composition, is you want to try to keep Bront on top of Quick Fuse as much as possible. Now, unfortunately, our rogue ended up going down there to... There was some kind of issue. His like game froze, and he couldn't see the bombs. Oh, this was a shit show, wasn't it? Yeah, so our rogue's game basically crashed. And so we ended up actually four-manning this fight, which isn't terrible. It just made it take a lot longer. So he did a reload here at this point, but basically he couldn't see circles. He couldn't see the bombs on the ground. So that's why we put a bunch of markers down, because we were like, just go here and we'll dispel you. So luckily we were able to make it work. Just kind of terrible that this ended up happening, because this boss fight ended up being closer to like 4 minutes where it shouldn't have been. But yeah, name of the game is keep Bront on top of Quick Fuse as much as possible. Your melee DPS should try to hit Bront if they can. So here we are. I'm positioning him next to a bomb so it's easier to hit. Our Druid is going to try to run out to try to hit as many bombs as possible. He was able to hit 3 there, which is good. Our healer is going to have it go across the room to clear the rest of the bombs. And now we're good. So I'm going to bring it back into melee so we can get the highest amount of uptime on Bront as soon as possible. So here we are. Now we're swapping back to him. That means the dispel can happen right away. The idea with the bombs is I recommend trying to clear a bomb with a dispel, but I don't recommend holding it. If you're a healer in a higher key, you should dispel immediately. Oh, and my fucking thing just crashed. Cool. Let's see if I can get back to it. It was somewhere in here, right? Yeah, we'll go with this. So we were able to get our rogue back. We were able to get him up. It ended up being okay. But basically the rule of thumb is dispel immediately, clear all the bombs you can with the charge, and then you use the last dispel to clear the last bomb. Now, if you're not clearing all the bombs with the charge, or not most of them, you're probably not doing it right. That's kind of my hot take. Anyways, Bront looks very healthy here. Luckily, Brewmaster monks are very good at handling this last kind of set of mechanics, but what we're doing here is kind of a 10 million IQ play. But what we're doing is that we're waiting for Bront to do his charges, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to DC. As you can see, I got stunned because of it. I got annoyed because now the lasers are all crazy. And so I believe I turn around and I just Touch of Death Quick Fuse. Or maybe we ended up killing her. Never mind, not 5,000 IQ play. I thought I Touch of Death her earlier to stop her mechanics, but we're just going to keep going. This is a shit show of a commentary. That's okay. So yeah, we were down a DPS for a lot of the fight. You can see our rogue only ended up doing 800k overall on that fight, which is obviously not normal for CL. He's being DC doesn't help. So yeah, we've been having a lot of issues. I've said this in other commentaries. Ever since like the patch day, I've been having like these weird frame stutters. I don't know what it is. I haven't changed settings. If anyone knows what can potentially fix it, I don't run a lot of add-ons. You know, I a couple of weak orders here and there. I run details, like, but nothing too crazy. Anyways, going into this pull, what our rogue is doing is he is triggering the RP to start spawn Swamp Face for us. And while we're doing that, we're all assigning ourselves kicks. So for example, I'm watching Skull, and everyone else has like, our druid has orange, our rogue might have green, our shaman has purple. And what we're doing is we're waiting for jettison kelps. We want three or more of the cast to be happening at the same time. And then we do an AoE CC. So we did leg sweep first, then we did roar, then we did capstone, and then we did blind. And as we do these CCs, what is happening? I guess we're in the same spot maybe-ish. Hopefully this works. So as we commit these CCs, they'll start doing their restorative kelp or whatever, as restorative algae. And then we all have those assigned kicks. So then we kick the target that we're on. And sometimes later in the poll, if we're like, there's a couple of mobs that are still alive, but a couple are dead, we'll use like single target CCs like paralysis, Stormbolt, for example, a kidney shot to stop those jettison kelps. Here we're doing a handful of divers plus a crab. After this pull, we're going to be slightly short percent, so we're going to pull in a couple crabs to boss. But interesting thing about these divers is only one of them will ever cast Harpoon at a time. So you could assign kicks, but the problem with that is there's more divers than we have kicks available. So what we do is we just say, you're going to kick next. No matter which one it is, you're going to kick. So it's like, it's me, and then it's Easy, and then it's CL, then it's our Feral Druid Carrot, and then it's Chicken. And then we just go down this list every single time. We can use some AoE stops to kind of delay the cast if a kick isn't up yet or something like that. But only one Harpoon will ever cast at one time. And so with that, you can kind of plan your kicks a little bit better. But it's also bad because it's a little bit harder to do like set focuses, for example. And so we're right around the 21-minute mark going into this boss. It's a pretty good pace. We're a little slow. We should be here around the 20-minute mark in an ideal circumstance, with CL dying on the second boss and then being DC'd or dead for a long period of time. We lost a lot of damage. So we're a little behind, but we're still on a good pace. So 21 minutes, we want to be done with this guy a little bit later. The funny thing is, we had already timed to 17 up to this point. And so this is kind of we were running it again, but we're now in a different comp. Despite the death, we're still 16 seconds faster on our Demolition Duo split, despite the DC, so looking pretty good. This fight is very tame for a Brewmaster. You are going to take a pretty big hit from the Sludge Claw mechanic. Every time you get hit with Sludge Claw, you should be looking to hit Expel Harm. As long as you're not overcasting Expel Harm throughout the encounter, you should have 2 to 5 Ox Orbs, and it will full heal off the absorb and full heal you back to full. I recommend rotating a defensive for each single Sludge Claw. For me, I like to do like Diffuse Magic on the first with Trinket, and then I just go like Celestial Brew, then Dampen, then Celestial Brew, then Black Ox Celestial Brew, and then back into a Fortifying Brew. But basically, try to have some type of mitigation up for every single one. If you're topped, you're probably going to be fine. For me, I am running Sephorium Pacemaker plus Mud. The Mud gets a lot of CDR on this fight. It's very, very efficient. Every tick of this Razor Choke Vine that's going out, thank God Blizzard changed this back from how it used to work. It used to not go on the tank at all. Now that it's on the tank, you are constantly getting a reduction, which is kind of ironic that this is the boss that drops the trinket. So it's really funny that we go from killing this guy, getting his trinket, and then that trinket being used to kill him over and over and over again. So very cool. CL likes to bait behind the boss when he can. As you can see, he just did it there at the expense of kind of gripping me towards him. But that's okay. You just want to play inside of this guy's hitbox. And now that we're about to do Awaken the Swamp, our chains will break shortly after this, and I'm going to be pulling in a crab. And now the reason why is because we're slightly short percent. I would like a little bit more, but unfortunately I don't have a little bit more to work with. So we're going to be pulling in a far crab, pulling in a close crab, so now we have 3 target cleave. This doesn't really benefit our comp too much, but we are going to be getting a little bit of free damage. And the idea is that we want to kill Swampface and these crabs at roughly the same time, ideally Swampface first, because we don't want the crabs to blow up with their dot the same time Swampface is doing Awaken the Swamp, because it can pretty much be lethal, because these crabs do blow up, leaving a bursting type dot on players that are nearby when they die. So we want to be careful. I had Fortifying Brew active for that I guess Sludge Claw, so we're good. Celestial Brew is available again. I have Diffuse Magic. I do want to be a little bit more careful because, like I said earlier, these crabs do hurt. They hurt a lot. Their pinch cast does some nasty damage to the tank. It will add a lot to your stagger. It might force a Celestial Brew early, but as you can see, they are at 5%, Swampface at 3%. I have Touch of Death. I am spamming it on the boss. It is committed. The boss goes down as the debuffs are applied, and we are good to go. We make it by with the skin of our teeth. We are now heading downstairs. Now, this is one of my favorite skips that we've been able to do all season. We're going to get to show it off here in a second. Unfortunately, we do play with some people who are a little slow. So what we're doing is we're basically applying water walking to all of our characters. We normally do this a lot faster, but with the way that the crabs died, we had to take our time to heal. Now we wind rush and we shroud. We go underneath bubbles and we're going all the way around to the back side of the boss. You want to be on land when you pull this guy. If you're in the water, as you can see there, CL took a burst of damage. That normally happens if you're in the water. I don't know if that was a melee either, but anyways, we're going to now pull the patrol that's on the bridge and we're going to paralysis out the far electrician. And this is really just to allow us to have a little bit of a safety net. When two casters are going off, it could be a little bit hectic. The healer also needs to dispel the dot that's applied from the electricians as well. So having more than one of them in a pull can be pretty hectic. Now, once we have it under control, we could bring it in, but as you can see here, I've committed almost everything. I did Fortifying Brew. I've used Black Axe Brew already. Dampen Harm is now rolling. I get a Fortifying Brew proc. I don't have a Trinket. I'm down a Celestia Brew. So this pull gets really hectic really fast for no reason outside of the fact it's uncomfortable to set up. The other pull that we're going to be going into is essentially the same thing. If not, it's worse because it has soldiers in it, and it's actually going to be easier than this pull. This pull, the playground you're in is really difficult to manage. There's a lot of like terrain, your camera's getting clipped on a lot of these like overhanging things. So once everything's kind of under control, we pull in the last electrician. It has a fairly low health pool, so it's not too long to kill. And then we're basically just resting. We're like, okay, we get a breather. We're just hitting one mob. We're chilling. We have give or take 7 minutes left. This is the last pull. So we're going to have this pull, and then we're going into Giesel after this. So this is double inspector, contractor, soldier, double electrician, and jumpstarter all in the same pull. We don't have many defensives, as you can see. I have just Ritual Mud as well as the Celestia Brew, which is committed here. This pull's a little bit more tame, in my opinion, just because you're working in an easier environment to play around in. What we're doing is we're having kind of pseudo-coordinated kicks on each of the mobs. We're just kind of calling out, I have orange next, I have purple next. We have opening starters as well. I kick the close, our healer kicks the far one, typically first every time, and then we just rotate from there. Our rogue is doing his best job trying to lock down some of the mobs when he can, with things like kidney shot, things like blind. We commit leg sweep, cap totem, shockwave, and roar to any awkward frontals that come out. If they're ever kind of like crisscrossed in our way going different directions, then we'll commit a stun. If they're easy to dodge, we won't. So it's more of a reactionary kind of I guess CC order, if that makes sense. And so now that everything is down, Jumpstarter is good. We are going to be skipping the last set of percentage with about a little under 6 minutes left. So now we're going to be doing the infamous Jumpstarter skip here. So I have my Linked Spirits on CL. I'm going to provoke and get both of these guys to me in this corner here that I'm tucked up against. I'm watching my group run by. I'm going to wait for the first set of kind of spark slams to come out. CL is going to wait for me down here in the perfect position. I'm going to transcend to him, get a meld, and then we are good to go. Now, it does take a little bit of time for this RP to start, but once it started, we are going right into the encounter. Turbocharge is going to come out for an explosive start, and luckily for us, and this is a big reason why we like to do that skip, is that it saves our healer cooldowns, so if he needs to, we can cool down here. We also have Lust coming up at 4 minutes, meaning that we're going to have it for the end of the fight to finish him off. So that's why we like the 4 Lust strategy. You can definitely pick out your Lust a little bit better and have like 3 really good Lust pulls, whether it's on bosses or whether it's like for big trash pulls. But for us, playing a physical comp that really doesn't rely on our cooldowns to carry us, but it relies on our just throughput, it's a little bit easier for us to do the 4 Lust strategy. We do this in a lot of different dungeons this season. Anyways, the leaping sparks are now coming out. We are going to bait them in kind of on one area of the arena, and we're going to kind of dash across to the next, putting as many pools in between the boss and the ending location that's possible. The Spark Slam does a good bit of damage, or not Spark Slam, what is it called? The Thunder Punch does a good bit of damage to the tank. I committed what did I even use there? I think I just used Lusher Brew. And we're going to basically transcend those types of knocks. Transcendence, especially Linked Spirits, is really good. The reason I like playing it is because it saves me 1 global. I can kind of just react with it as a knock to counter knockbacks instead of having to like pre-position and pre-think about like, okay, I'm going to roll over here, put down a Transcendence, so then when I get knocked, I can then send another global to transcend back to that location. Basically now, all I have to do is trust the player it's on, and then I can always transcend to him knowing that he'll be in a safe spot, and CL does an absolutely amazing job at that. So I don't necessarily recommend it if you're not playing with people you trust or pugs and stuff like that, but if you're playing with like a set group like I do, it's a very powerful talent. Anyways, we're going to do our best to try to get these sparks into these pools. I'm putting myself in kind of a weird location here, but we're going to get knocked back just into this corner. I had one of those laggy things again where like my frame kind of froze. I don't know if you noticed that, but the cast finished and then I just stood in place and then I got knocked back afterwards, which is a little annoying. Anyways, here's the third turbocharge of the encounter. We still have most of our group cooldowns. Link is still available. Rally's still available. We have some defenses rolling like Feint and Barkskin. That's going to keep us fairly healthy. Another pro of this comp is that the DPS we're running with are just really sturdy. Between Bear Form, Barkskin, Survival Instincts, Warrior's increased health pool, things like Feint, Crimson File, Evasion, Cloak, all of these things are just insanely powerful for our group. So the healer's only ever really worried about keeping himself alive, and sometimes me. Link is used as a personal defensive on the healer. The healer was out of defensive, so he wanted something to keep himself alive by leeching off of basically the group's health. So very good play there. Leaving Sparks, we bait kind of in the center where he spawns, and then we're going to be going to the left-hand side of the arena to kind of try to bait these and get them nice and stacked. I'm waiting to see where my Spark is. It gets caught. Thunder Punch is coming out. I'm going to meld and then re-taunt immediately, so I avoid that Thunder Slam. I felt like I was in an uncomfortable position here, and so I normally will use meld as kind of a last resort. You can use it twice or sometimes even 3 times in a fight if the fight's long enough. But I find that it's better to use it in an awkward moment where you might get knocked off the edge or you don't have a lot of room to work with, rather than kind of sending it willy-nilly just to avoid damage for a certain instance if you're going to be safe. I didn't have many defensives there either. I had Diffuse and I guess I had Fort Brew that came up, but I want to save those for, I guess, for the next dungeon, I guess. Unfortunately, the 4 Lust strat is very good unless you're so far ahead of the timer where the 4th Lust doesn't even come up. So our Lust is coming up in 3 seconds. The boss is at 2%. And that's it. And that's the run. Pretty simple. Pretty chill run. Unlike this commentary, that was kind of hectic. Anyways, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. I was going to try to hold off on doing this until we had an 18 timed, but I guess I was looking back and I was like, wow, I haven't done a Floodgate commentary since the start of the season. So it was about time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.